holiday tradition as treasured as a Christmas Story or Miracle on 34th Street. It's the third annual GameCritics.com podcast Holiday Awards Spectacular. Make that an acronym. I'm Tim Spaeth. Joining me tonight, the Dolores Hopes to my Bob Hope. Let's start by saying hello to Mike Bracken. Hi, Mike.
I'd prefer to be the Bing Crosby to your Bob Hope. Can I be that?
We have space for a Bing Crosby.
That's good. I'm going to beat a kid with a belt, too.
Trying to, 3% of our audience will understand this reference.
Yes. Well, I love the road movies, so, you know.
Well, wait. I want to be Dorothy Lamour, then.
Oh, awesome. This segment just got awesome. Can we sing Road to Morocco later?
We will wrap with that. No question. And believe me, we will wrap with that. Okay. That leaves Richard Nyack. You can still be Dolores Hope if you're okay with that.
Sure.
I think she had a little mustache. And then joining us, very special guest from the frozen north, Daniel Weissenberger. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Tim. What it is?
What it is, sir, to you. Great to have you back.
Absolutely.
And lest I forget, Mr. Brad Gallaway. Hi, Brad.
Hey, everybody.
And Brad, my understanding is you have a special guest.
I do. My 9-year-old son, Reese, is here with me tonight. He, most of the year, lives with his mom in a place very far away, but I'm fortunate enough to have him with me for this Christmas. And he's here right beside me in our Game Critics West studio, so I thought we might put him on for just a moment.
Fantastic. Put him on the microphone, and we'll talk to him for a bit here.
Here we go.
Hello.
Hi, Reese.
Yes.
Hi, Reese. My name's Tim. It's
nice to meet you, Tim.
Very nice to meet you. Brad talks about you, or your dad talks about you all the time, so it's great to have you on. I would like to know, what was the worst game you played this year, and then tell us what the best game you played this year was.
Well, the worst game I've played this year was Madden NFL for the PSP, because I kind of thought the controls were unreasonable, and everybody on the opposite team kept intercepting my passes.
That happens to me, too.
Now, are you a big football fan?
No, not really.
Because your dad is not a football fan at all.
No. He gets very upset when we talk about football on the show, or hockey, or any sport.
So that was the worst game. I don't like Madden much either. What about your favorite game?
Well, I gotta say, my favorite game is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite for the PSP.
Wow.
I like it because you can just connect with two PSPs in the same room. So I do it with my dad all the time, and we go out on missions to go slay some monsters.
Oh, that's cool.
He just got a ton of hardcore cred picking that game for Game of the Year.
That's true.
That's hardcore.
Now,
bravo to you, Reese. I'm proud.
I am too. That's fantastic. Now, let me ask you this, Reese. Who is better at Monster Hunter? You or your dad?
I gotta say my dad.
Oh, you don't have to say that. You can tell us you're better. We believe you're better.
You're a good son, Reese. You're a good son. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. And how long are you going to be? How long are you going to be in Seattle?
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, have a great time, and it was a pleasure to meet you. And thanks for coming on the show.
Oh.
We hope you get lots of games for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? You guys good?
We're good?
Good.
All right, cool.
He was very well spoken.
Thanks. He's a wonderful little guy. Handsome as hell, just like his daddy, I'll tell you that much.
And Mike, I want to commend you for not swearing rampantly.
It was really hard. It was really, really hard.
Could tell you.
I could feel the strain from off mic.
I'm sweating the effort.
He was down to just a 10-word vocabulary.
I know. Felt very limited.
Well, guys, we have a big show tonight, as any holiday special should be. My producer, Felipe, as you all know, has been working on this for months, and it's a shame he's spending the holidays in jail and can't be here to savor the fruits of his labor. But nevertheless, we are going to live on. We are going to survive. We have 13 categories to cover tonight, and we're going to share our nominees in each. We'll actually only select winners in the final 2 categories. One of those... What? Sorry.
When did Jerry Lewis get here?
I was going to say, did Jerry Lewis just become the Jerry Lewis Dear Bob Hope?
I was going to say, Jerry Lewis was never in a road movie.
Which is a tragedy in and of itself.
Wait, the Martin and Lewis? Well, he was never in the Bob Hope road movie.
Yeah,
but Martin
they were
and Lewis were all over the place.
Yeah, they weren't. But look, really, we only call the Hope Crosby movies the road movies.
Seriously, yeah.
We don't call the Martin Lewis. No.
That's fair. No, I don't disagree with that. Although I will point out, Jerry Lewis, of all these people, is the only one still alive, because he's
Indeed.
because and I don't even know that that's relevant, but I just pointed out. So only selecting winners in the final 2 categories. One of those, of course, is Game of the Year. Now, in 2008, that award went to Fallout 3. Last year, it went to Demon's Souls. Which game will join them tonight? I'm trembling with anticipation. Now, the other award goes to you, the listener. We asked you to post your biggest surprise of 2010 to our forums. We're going to be randomly picking 2 of you tonight, and those 2 will each win $20 of game credit on the downloadable service of their choice, either XBLA, PSN, WiiWare, or Steam. So we will announce those live toward the end of the show. Very excited about that. And we got some great responses to the biggest surprise of 2010. Some things I completely forgot about that will come up in that part of the show. So with that,
I made sure not to read that thread so that I didn't steal somebody's thing. So
there were some incredibly obscure things referenced in that thread. I was extremely impressed, as I always am with our audience. So I'm very much looking forward to reading some of those. Well, guys, I think we're ready. Are we ready for the first award?
Ready.
Let's do it. Everybody got their tux on?
Yes.
It wasn't a trick question, I swear.
I answer affirmative to that statement.
I'll just shut up now and quit throwing everyone off.
Category number 1. That's where the sound effect goes. It's the Nail in the Coffin Award. Which franchise needs to be put 6 feet under based on their latest 2010 release? And I am going to kick things off with our very special guest, Dan Weissenberger. Do you have a nominee for the Nail in the Coffin Award?
I do, and I think it's probably going to be the winner because it could have won this award every year for probably the past decade, and that's the Sonic series.
God damn it, you stole mine.
I know. That's why I'm happy I went first.
Would either of you care to elaborate as to why? What in particular about this year?
Well, I stole it, so you can go first.
Basically, Sonic is basically the San Francisco 49ers of gaming. Like, he was freaking awesome in the 1990s, but it's just been complete crap since he tried to make the transition to 3D in the early 2000s. He's just made piece of shit after piece of shit, and even they went back to 2D this year, and they even screwed that up. So I mean, it's time to just take him to the vet and put him down.
I must have missed the part of the 90s where Sonic was awesome, because I've never particularly thought Sonic was awesome, but that's just me.
I'm with Mike on this one. I've never been a huge Sonic fan. I mean, I can get kind of a scared out of my mind visceral appreciation of the first couple of Sonic games and a little bit of Sonic and Knuckles, but I don't think they were ever particularly well-designed games, being as they were more about, memorizing what the map was like than actual reflexes, although you needed some of that too. Mario, if you were good at video games, you could kind of play through it all the way your first time. Whereas Sonic, it was just hours and hours of learning the maps. And you know what? That's never stopped. Sonic 4 was bad enough, especially because it's like Sonic 4 Episode 1, as if, we want to pay for more of that. But I also got a review copy, which I have been too depressed to write the review of. I actually went back and played the Sonic Adventure from the DC as downloadable content, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten what a terrible game it was, and it just put it into this focus for me that we've just got to stop Sonic games.
I'm going to go give you both a little history lesson here about the golden age of Sonic. Back when people thought he was cool, and basically Sonic 3 was released as roughly a half-finished game. It had about half the levels that they wanted to put into it. And later, Sonic and Knuckles was released, which was like it had the same sound effects, the same just sprite palettes, all that kind of stuff, because it was basically the second half of Sonic 3 that they released after they finished it. And Sonic and Knuckles had this top cartridge slot that you could put Sonic 3 into, and then you combine that, and it made this massive, I think it was 14 levels in total. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it was 14. So it made this huge Sonic game that was like the apex of his existence, of the franchise's existence. I once spent 8.5 hours straight playing that and trying to get all of the Chaos Emeralds, all 14 of those stupid freaking Chaos Emeralds and those hard as shit special stages. Yeah, I guess you could say I like the old Sonic games.
Richard, you poor boy.
Sonic 1 through Sonic 3 / Sonic and Knuckles plus Sonic CD were all really good. I'm going to make that statement now with the utmost confidence in it. After that, it completely fell apart. I mean, Sonic Adventure was just terrible. It's just gotten worse and worse. And what really disappointed me, and this is going to be my answer to another category too, which when I first heard that they were going back to 2D with Sonic 4, I'm like, great, they're going to just get rid of all the stupid crap and make it good again. And they couldn't even do that. They made it 2D. They made it 2D and it was still terrible. So it's just, I mean, they have no idea what's wrong with their games. So it's just, I mean, it's time to just, put a bullet in between its eyes.
Well, I think we're all in agreement whether Sonic became terrible 20 years ago or 10 years ago or yesterday. I think we're all in agreement Sonic is terrible and is a very, very worthy candidate for the Nail in the Coffin award. Let's move beyond Sonic, though, and Brad, I'll turn to you. What franchise should be laid to rest based on its latest release?
Well, it kind of pains me to say this, especially given the drama that we kind of went through to get the game that came out this year, but my pick was actually Crackdown 2. Crackdown, the first one, was kind of a cult hit, kind of a slow burn, and it had a lot of potential. I mean, I reviewed it myself. I wasn't too crazy about it, but I did kind of like it, and I saw plenty of room for it to grow. With all the things that happened with the developer kind of going out of business, and people thought that, there would never be a sequel, the fans kind of rose up, and there was this kind of grassroots movement to kind of get it into production. And then, lo and behold, we finally get Crackdown 2 delivered, and it sucks. Like, it's worse than the first one, and it was basically like a framework that people were sold that was going to be like this kind of place for them to send DLC. I mean, unfortunately, the DLC that they put out was like buggy as hell. So even their Trojan horse, ploy of selling us the game and then giving us the actual game via DLC later was a complete failure as well. I mean, this was supposed to be like the total comeback. You love us. We're here. We're going to do great things. You saw greatness in us the first time, and now we're here to prove that. And they just completely flushed it down the toilet. So even though there's only been 2 games, for me anyway, I think Crackdown is kind of done. I think the core ideas are still good, but I think maybe that, it'll have to be carried on by a new franchise.
Yeah, the first game was a $60 tech demo, basically.
Yeah. And 2 was worse. So I don't see where we go from here.
Had an awesome harpoon gun, though. I will give it that.
Well, the thing about the first one was, it's like, that was one of the best demos I'd ever played.
Yeah, it was a great demo.
And I ran out and I bought that, and the day it came out, and I got nothing more than I did in the demo.
Yep.
Like, it's shocking how bad a deal that first one was. So, yeah, I wasn't going anywhere near 2.
No, me either.
I ended up buying the first one. I got my Xbox very late, and at that point, Crackdown was $20. So I ended up getting Crackdown for $20, and at that price, I thought it was pretty great. So,
yeah.
Mike Bracken, Nail in the Coffin Award, your nominee.
Yes, like Brad, my choice pains me. In fact, my choice is so outrageous that these are words I never thought I would utter. But my Nail in the Coffin Award for this year goes to Castlevania.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
This
That
has
hurts
been
me just to hear you say that.
I
man.
know. This has been a horrible year for Castlevania. First, we got the DLC game for Xbox Live, which was really mediocre. It was just basically a multiplayer cooperative boss rush thing in the standard Metroidvania mold, which has gotten pretty stale. I don't remember, was the fighting game on the Wii this year too? Or was that last? Yeah, so there was that abomination, which was absolutely fucking awful. And then Lords of Shadow, which was another awful attempt to bring the franchise into 3D yet again. And it also, while it is not as bad as Castlevania 64, it's still pretty terrible. My feeling is at this point, is there anything left for this franchise? I don't think there is. I don't want another 2D Symphony of the Night wannabe, because they're never as good as Symphony of the Night. And if I want to play Symphony of the Night, I'll just fucking fire it up and play it. I certainly don't want another fighting Castlevania game. And if this is all the better they can do with 3D, I don't want any more of that either. So let's just put that series to bed and move on with our lives.
Lord of Shadow was the one Kojima was involved in tangentially.
Yeah.
Can you see his fingerprints anywhere on that game?
No, that game is I know Gene kind of liked it because he reviewed it for the site, and he gave it I forget, a 6 or something like that. I would not have scored it that high. I think it's a steaming pile personally, but it's a game that you can kind of tell that they were making it as something else, and then they decided in the middle, hey, let's make it a Castlevania game, because it doesn't feel like Castlevania at all. So, I'm just really, really, as much as it pains me to say it, I'm just really over Castlevania at this point.
Shocking. Coming out with a shocker right out of the gate. My goodness.
Right out of the gate.
Well, my nominee for Nail in the Coffin Award, I briefly considered Civilization, but I'm saving Civ 5 for a future category. Stay tuned for that. The only right answer to this question, for me, is Tecmo Bowl.
Why didn't we see that?
Yeah.
We all should have picked that.
We don't talk about sports games on this show, although your son started off with a sports game tonight.
Might have been the first sports game mentioned in the history of this show.
I think it actually is.
He broke new ground for us, but I'm going to mention football again. Every year, Tecmo decides, hey, let's revive Tecmo Bowl. But instead of releasing a new game, they re-release an old version of Tecmo Bowl. So this year's attempt was Tecmo Bowl Throwback on the XBLA and the PSN. There was a DS version a couple years ago. Again, just re-releasing Tecmo Bowl. And, the first problem here is obvious. Tecmo Bowl just isn't a good game anymore. I mean, it's a 20-year-old game. It's just not that good anymore.
And 20 years ago, it was awesome, but that was 20 years ago.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
Stonewashed jeans were awesome 20 years ago, too.
We all pegged our pants and...
Yep. And we wore pleats and,
pleats.
And members-only jackets.
And jams. We all wore jams.
Yeah.
And secondly, and I hate to say this, but as long as EA has a stranglehold on the NFL license, no one should bother making football games. I mean, as great as competition would be, I don't want to play as the Cleveland Beavers, and as I've said on this show many times, all I did in college, 2 things. I played Tecmo Bowl, and I made love. And I would I would very much like for that to be my life again. So, but Tecmo's not going to do it. So let's bury it 6 feet under. Goodbye, Tecmo Bowl. And that is our first category. I think that went very well. Let's move right on to our second category, category number 2. This category, named for one of our hosts, we call it the Brad Gallaway is Single-Handedly Keeping Indie Developers in Business Award. And it would be silly to start with anyone other than Brad Gallaway.
Oh, darn. I thought you were going to go to Richard first.
So did I.
It would have been a better joke, but yeah, let's.
There we
Too
go.
late. Got to go with Brad.
Well, it was kind of a tough pick this year. There were actually a number of things to go with, but I think the one that really stood out to me as being an excellent game, as well as being completely unknown, unseen, unheard of by like anybody in the industry that I know of, was Patchwork Heroes, which was a download for the PSP via PSN. I think I've only met, maybe 2 people who even have heard of this game the entire year, and it was a fantastic game. Like, it was really well put together, really artistic, had some great ideas. For those of you who don't know, which is everybody, what the premise of this game is that you're this little character who has to defend his hometown from incoming airships. And so how you do that is you get airlifted onto these airships which are heading towards your town, and you have a saw. And so you take this saw and you saw huge chunks of the enemy airship away, and they just like fall off. And you have to keep sawing and sawing and sawing until this giant airship is reduced to just like a little tiny speck that can't fly anymore, and then it goes poof, and then your town is saved. So you do this over and over, and each of the ships incoming has different mechanics to it. I mean, some are made of metal, so you can only saw in certain places. Some you have to bomb these vital connections. Some are crawling with enemies and so forth. It was just really, really interesting. It was really different. It was really fun. The art factor was really high. It had a very quirky style to it. Great music. I mean, everything about it was fabulous. I mean, it deserved to be the next Loco Roco for Sony, and yet it didn't go anywhere. Nobody heard of it. I didn't hear anybody at all talking about it, and so it just completely got lost. And I feel really bad for little old Patchwork Heroes because it really deserved to find a bigger audience. So for me, that is the one that I would choose this year.
And hopefully its presence on this show will inspire people to check it out. Let me turn now to Richard. Your vote for the Brad Gallaway Single-Handedly Keeping Indie Developers in Business Award.
Well, this was actually a fairly difficult choice for me as well. There were about, I think, 3 or 4 different choices I was gravitating in between, and there's one that I'm actually saving for a later category. But the one I'm going to pick here is Wrecketeer, an item shop's tale. It's a little RPG about, you basically play as an RPG item shop owner. And the idea of exploring the life of an item shop owner is such a great idea, because they're in basically every RPG, but very rarely do you ever actually learn anything about them. For the most part, it's executed really well. The actions of acquiring and selling items is very interesting. There's a dungeon crawling section where you go and you find items to sell. Outside of some really horrendous pacing, it's really, really good. Like, if it wasn't for those pacing problems, this would probably be on my top 10 favorites of all time list. But it is paced terribly, so it's going to have to settle for just being really good.
And this is frequently on sale via Steam. So I ended up buying it on your recommendation at, I think it was half off. It seems to always be on sale, so hopefully people will, if your eloquent description did not inspire them, hopefully the price will. That's a good one too. Mike.
Yes, I took the indie developers thing and just ran with it to the farthest possible, most extreme definition I could come up with. And so my vote was for a game we talked about last week, Epic Dungeon, a game that one guy made. I mean, can you get more indie than that? Basically, it's a dungeon crawler like NetHack crossed with Diablo, with lots of loot whoring and leveling up as you go through this dungeon, fighting monsters for 50 levels. And death is permanent, so there's a constant sense of tension. There's 4 different classes to play. The graphics look a little bit rough, but the game costs $1. This is like the best dollar you could ever spend on a game and have fun. And, you know, I've paid $60 for games that I didn't like as much as this little dollar game. So definitely check out Epic Dungeon. That's my vote. And, you know, when one guy makes a game, that's pretty fucking indie where I'm sitting. So good for him.
And Dan Weissenberger, how about you, sir?
Well, I'm actually just going to back Mike up on this one because this category is perfectly named for me because the only experience I ever have with indie games is when Brad recommends one and I go get it. Because I really try, you know, I don't spend a lot of time looking through indie games and I trust his recommendation. And this one just blew my mind. I'm already a fan of roguelike games. I mean, if there was a perfect game imaginable in my mind, it would be Demon's Souls, but with progressively generated dungeons. You know, and so this thing, I loved. It showed you that, yeah, a roguelike game is still relevant today. I mean, between this and my other pick on the category, Spelunky, which I think technically came out last year. So, it's a good time for people who like progressively generated dungeons.
Yeah, it's a fabulous game. Fabulous game, no question. My answer here, I've mentioned it a few times on the show, so I won't belabor the point, is Game Dev Story. It's an iPhone game, ironically, about keeping an indie developer in business. Huh? You see what I did there, guys?
How meta.
See, the game is about what the category is.
That's like a twofer, man. That's
my mind is blown.
Oh my god, my nose is bleeding. So yeah, I've already talked about it. It's like $1.99. App Store, go get it. Game Dev Story. It's fantastic. Let's move on to our next category. It's category number 3. The non-2010 Game of the Year. What outstanding game from your backlog did you finally get around to? And I'm going to come back to Mike Bracken. What is your vote in this category?
My vote this year was for the Orange Box. Believe it or not,
Wow.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it when it came out, and it sat on my shelf. And it's even funnier because I had Half-Life 2, the original Xbox version, and never got around to playing it. And prior to this year, my only experience with Half-Life 2, other than reading a lot about it and seeing videos about it, was I played someone's version on the PC for half an hour one day goofing around, and I liked it, but I just never got around to playing the whole thing. Portal, oddly enough, left me feeling kind of indifferent. I like Portal's neat, but I'm just not as gaga over it as everyone else is. But Half-Life 2 and the add-on episodes are definitely worthy of the praise they've received over the past few years. The most amazing thing about it to me is that it's aged really well. I mean, Half-Life 2 has been around for a long time, but yet when you play it, it still competes with the Halos and the Call of Duties and everything that's come since and moved the bar for FPSs up. And here's a game that's been out for years and it's still great. I had a really good time with it. I'm looking forward to the next episode if it ever comes out. Definitely dug it.
Timeless classic.
No question. No question. One of the few games I've played multiple times. Richard? Jump in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Mike, by chance, did you spend any time with Team Fortress, which was also in the Orange Box?
Yeah, no. I would like to, but I think if I played Team Fortress, it would be better to play it on PC.
Yeah,
honestly.
It really would be. I was just kind of curious if you had peeked your head in just to see what all the fuss was about.
I did one night, and I didn't even get into a game, so I haven't really get to spend any time with it. It looks really cool. I would like to try it.
Oh, okay.
What? Richard wants to win me over to the Team Fortress cause.
I love when Richard tries to sell Team Fortress. Every opportunity he has, Team Fortress. I love it.
Yeah.
Totally. I love the passion. Richard, what did you get to in your backlog? What was your non-2010 game of the year?
My non-2010 game of the year was the very first Phoenix Wright. It succeeds in basically all the way that an adventure game should succeed. Great story, likable characters. The investigations were fun. Basically everything that people were saying 5 years ago when they were saying like this game was awesome, and I was like, nah, whatever, I don't want to buy a DS for it. It's true. And this game makes me glad that a Nintendo DS magically appeared in a box in my closet.
And that's not a joke either. You actually did find a DS and have no idea what its origin is.
Yeah, I did. I just moved into my current apartment a few months ago, and I was going through a box and I found a DS, and it's actually a DS Slim, so it's not an old one. I have no idea who it belongs to. I've contacted all of my old roommates. They say they're not missing one. So it must have just been placed there so I could play Phoenix Wright.
Man, I wish somebody would like place a PS3 in my other room in the closet. That would be pretty nice.
Well, that's good. And Richard, you plans to play the follow-ups to Phoenix Wright?
Eventually, yes. I hear that they're not as good, but I have a feeling that this could be the kind of thing that I just become addicted to regardless of how good it is. So we'll see. They're on my... After I got through the original off my backlog, I immediately put the rest of them on my backlog.
2 and 3, I think, and Brad, I think you've played them all. You can back me up or refute, but I think 2 and 3 definitely worth playing. 4 and 5, take them or leave them.
Leave them.
Leave them.
Leave them.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 and 3 for sure. But as far as my money's concerned, stop there.
Okay.
And Brad, since we're hearing from you, your vote for non-2010 Game of the Year.
I'm actually going to echo what my son said earlier in the podcast. I don't think he really was aware of it, but Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite actually came out in 2009. And I am kind of a Monster Hunter fan, and I never got around to that one for a couple of reasons, but I figured I would do it this year, and I'm really glad that I did, because even though the game has some pretty severe camera problems, it's actually a really, really deceptively deep game. It appears to be really shallow and grind heavy, which it is. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not, but there is quite a bit of depth to it and a lot of craftsmanship that went into it, a lot of really subtle nuances that you don't really pick up on until you've played for 50, 75, or 100 hours or something like that. So I'm really glad I got around to it. I've really, really been enjoying it, and it's just been a cherry on top of the cake that I've been able to multiplay it with my son. You know, he kind of got to becoming a Monster Hunter head when I was playing Tri earlier this year. And so I just really like the fact that we can both play this game that we have a shared interest in and just kind of quest together. So it's been great.
Now, can you play that remotely when he's back home? Are you able to play together via Wi-Fi?
Unfortunately, no. You can get a program on the PS3 which lets you do that, but he does not have access to a PS3 when he goes back home. So we've only been able to do it here locally, and it really works really well locally. I was actually surprised at how well it comes off. But unfortunately, no, we cannot do it at a distance.
Gotcha. And Dan Weissenberger, your non-2010 Game of the Year.
Easiest choice. We're not going to talk a lot about it because we did last year. I didn't play Demon's Souls until a couple of months ago, and now I can't stop. I mean, I'm playing it right now. It's fantastic.
I told you it was good, right?
You did. Everything great that anyone says about this game is true. It's just deserves all of the accolades and all of the Game of Years. If I had played it last year, I would have given it Game of the Year over Batman. So there you go.
Funny you mentioned Batman. That is my non-2010 Game of the Year. I don't remember. Did we talk about Batman on this show other than Dan mentioning it as his Game of the Year? Did we do a Batman segment?
I don't think so. Because I think a lot of us really we didn't. I really liked it last year.
I thought we did because I played it at a friend's on PS3, and I remember we kind of talked about it a little bit at least.
Yeah, I thought that was the Game of the Year show, though, but I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If we didn't, we should have.
We really should have. I played it in April after I finished Mass Effect 2, and God, what a perfect melding of Metroid Prime and just Batman cool. And would you agree it's probably the best superhero game ever?
It doesn't have any competition for that title.
Yeah, it's a small category of.
I mean, aside from Superman 64, but
well, sure, obviously. I mean, that's just assumed.
That's
given. The best, right? Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's go to our next category. This is category number 4.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Most promising new franchise. A brand new IP from 2010 that has some potential legs. Let's start with Richard Nyack.
My pick is Monday Night Combat. Is a third-person multiplayer shooter. As Tim just said before, I played a lot of Team Fortress 2. I've also played a lot of Halo and Counter-Strike years and years ago. So I'm always up for a good multiplayer experience, a good focused multiplayer experience. And Monday Night Combat, it has the core mechanics down pat. I think they are one of the few that has actually mastered competitive third-person combat, similar to the vibe that I got most of all from them was from the multiplayer mode from the third Ratchet and Clank game, which was criminally left off the later games. But I think what they really need to do now is just have some more diverse content, like different gameplay modes, different maps, stuff like that. The announcer needs more than 6 lines to say, or he just needs to stop talking during the games, either way. But and actually, as I just found out literally about 2 hours ago, there's a PC version of Monday Night Combat coming out that will have both dedicated server support and tools to allow for user-generated content. So it may wind up getting all the things that I think it needs. So I think it's definitely got some legs.
I was going to mention the PC version. Will you double dip?
Yes, I will.
Good.
That's the simplest answer ever.
Yeah. we had a very good time playing that as a family. I think 4 out of the 5 of us were on. So
that was very good.
Yeah, good times. Good game.
Good time.
Dan Weissenberger, what about you? Most promising new franchise?
Well, the weird part is I don't know if it's a franchise because I'm not at the end yet. But on the recommendation of Richard and others, I got Amnesia.
Ooh.
And I don't know how it ends because I've not done it yet. But just from what I've seen already, I am ready for the next part, if there is one, or whatever these guys develop next. Like, I'm excited for more of this exact kind of gameplay and this story specifically.
The impression I get from them is there's not going to be an Amnesia 2, basically, but they are working on. So, like, I actually interviewed them not too long ago, and they say they are working on something else, but would not elaborate as to what that is, at least at this time.
Well, if it's even a spiritual successor, I'm calling it, a follow-up in the way this category suggested.
Yeah. Okay. No, I gotcha.
Fantastic.
It's if you haven't played it yet, it's something special.
It's really in the same vein that, Dan, you said Deadly Premonition is $20. There's no excuse for you to have not played this. Amnesia is $20, and there's no excuse for you to have not played this unless you are like me and have to
scare way
to get through the game.
Fine, I'll buy it. For God's sake, stop pestering me.
I know. Now
I bought it, so nobody has.
I haven't bought it yet, so I need to.
I was gonna say it might still be on sale for $10 on Steam. I haven't looked.
Man, if it's $10, I definitely got to get it.
I got to think with the Steam holiday sale that we're going to see a price drop on that. But Brad's playing a PC game. That's amazing. So Brad, let me turn to you next. Most promising new franchise.
I had a little bit of trouble picking just one, so I kind of did a double-headed choice here. The first one would be Vanquish. I really liked the kind of, light, non-serious tone to the story. I mean, it wasn't like satire or anything, but it was a nice change of pace from the usual, like, super grim and gritty kind of tone that these shooters generally take. And I really like the different direction, the way that the combat took. I mean, it was kind of cover-based, but it was fast, it was energetic. There were definitely a lot of changes in the motifs that we saw. So I think that this kind of game has a future, and there was certainly plenty of room for a sequel with Vanquish. And my second choice, kind of a weird one, but I think I'm going to actually pick Heavy Rain, believe it or not. Although there were tons of problems with Heavy Rain, it was not a perfect game by any means. I really thought that they were generally going in the right direction with a lot of the choices, and I would really, really, really be up for like more detective story kind of games. I mean, we've seen that pop up a few times this year, and I'm just really interested in that genre. I think that it's something that has plenty of room for exploration, and I think that if they got better writers next time and had a better story, that the kind of game Heavy Rain would really lend itself to telling some really great detective stories. And again, there definitely was room for a sequel if you got the proper ending. So I would call both of those promising starts.
Depends on what you consider a proper ending.
Well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I'll just say that I think there was a proper ending. I don't know if it was a proper English ending, but a proper ending.
Mr. Bracken?
Yes, I had a hard time with this one too, which is really a good sign for gaming in general, because that means we got some things this year that were good, that weren't just the same old fucking sequels to the tired games we've been playing for the last few years. In my heart, I really wanted to say Alan Wake. But I just couldn't. So I have two picks, and I need a judge's decision on this, because my top pick, I'm not sure if it really counts as the most promising new franchise. I went for my choice initially was Red Dead Redemption, which is technically not new, but it feels so different from Red Dead Revolver that it's really easy to start to think that it is new and that they're really just kind of linked through their name alone. And I went on to say, like, Redemption, as we talked about, it's not perfect. The second act drags. I know Brad didn't like it at all. I know Tim and I did. But John Marston as a character is interesting, and the Old West setting is great, and I would love to have more adventures in that game's world, and the zombie stuff like Undead Nightmare is really cool, too. But if we're not counting that, I went with another game, which was kind of surprising, Dante's Inferno. What looked like a simple like God of War clone manages to get everything right in borrowing from that game. It doesn't break the mold from God of War at all, but it understands what makes God of War cool and takes it and incorporates it into its own world, which is the same fucking problem Castlevania Lords of Shadow has, in that it just takes things without any understanding of why it works and tries to just slap them in the game and hope you'll love it. The funny thing is about Dante's Inferno to me is it actually does a better job of being a Castlevania game than Castlevania did this year. So those are my choices. I don't know if we're throwing Red Dead out or not. If not, it's Dante's Inferno. If we're going to let Red Dead slide, it's Red Dead.
I cannot allow Red Dead. As much as I agree with your logic, Mike, that it does not feel like an extension of Revolver. Technically, it is the successor to that game. I cannot call it a new IP. I'm very sorry. Your choice will have to be Dante's Inferno.
All right, I can live with that. I'm okay with that.
And Brad, you liked that one too, didn't you? You liked Inferno.
Yeah, I was actually planning to bring it up in a later category, as a matter of fact.
Huh. Did we hit I think we hit everyone there on that category.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My choice here is. I struggled with this one a lot because I actually did have problems thinking of one. But the more I thought about Enslaved, particularly after the Pigsy's Perfect 10 DLC, the more I really want to go back to that universe. I like what they started there, and the game ends with a real sense of what's next. There is a wide opening for a sequel there. So I hope that once they finish Devil May Cry, that Ninja Theory does come back and revisit the Enslaved IP. I do want to mention, since I'm talking about Enslaved, we received a lovely letter from a gentleman named Matthew Hart. He is actually a senior producer at Ninja Theory. He actually wrote Pigsy's Perfect 10, and he wrote just thanking us for our Enslaved segment a few weeks ago. So wanted to thank Mr. Hart for taking the time to do that. That was very cool. Let's move on to our next category. This is category number 5. Category number 5. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good, guys. Most disappointing game of the year. You wanted this game to be so good, so sweet, you thought it would taste, so delicious. But it didn't. It was soul-crushing.
It tasted like burning.
It did. It tasted like burning.
The tar pits are making me nauseous.
Let's start with Dan. Dan, what was your most disappointing game of the year?
Okay, this might come across as a little controversial, but what you got to remember here is this is not the worst game of the year. That's later. This is the biggest disappointment. And that was Red Dead Redemption.
Ah.
Okay. Just because...
Sounds like
Such
you just
a divisive
stabbed him in
game.
heart or something.
Such a divisive game.
The thing is, I really loved Red Dead Revolver, and I'm not going to complain about it becoming an open-world game because I love open-world games. What I'm going to say is that that game didn't have an excuse for being as boring a game as it was. The endless fetch quests, the endless riding places, it took forever to go through to get anywhere in that game, and had the journey been half the fun, it would be one thing. But it's not like there were interesting locations. It wasn't like Shadow of the Colossus, where the landscape itself was so beautiful that you could just ride through it. It was just more trees, more hills, more desert. Like, I would have gone mad if I didn't abuse the instant travel. And there were so many missions that didn't let me that I was just angry at the game by the end.
I agree with you, Dan. I do.
Wow.
I do not think that's a controversial selection. But I do want to ask you this, and Mike and I haven't talked about this either. I believe that the final 3 hours of that game, and I'm not talking about the twist, I'm talking about the 3 hours that precede it, are genius.
Mm-hmm.
The way that, and I can't say a word without spoiling it, but the way...
No, don't spoil.
Yeah, the way that goes down, I thought was brilliant. Would you agree with me there?
Oh, it's fantastic. I just couldn't abide the 30 hours it took to get to that 3 hours.
Yeah. I said the same thing when we did our Rockstar show. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, you definitely spend a lot of time riding places that, that sucks. And it especially sucks when you can't skip it during a mission, especially when there's no reason for why you can't, because the NPCs are talking, but they're not telling you anything particularly relevant to what you're about to go do. That's definitely a problem.
If I could just chip in for a second, I mean, I feel I definitely agree with what Dan is saying, and I also hear what you guys are saying. It's kind of tough for me, and in fact, I think that Red Dead was probably the game I wrestled with the most this year, because I had just so many people sending me messages and email and on Twitter saying it was just so fantastic, and yet at the same time, I just did not see it. And everybody said the same thing. Get to the end is so awesome, the end is so great. And that may very well be true. I did not finish the game, and to be perfectly honest, I couldn't force myself to play through it. I mean, I have many, many issues, and we're not going to get into that now. That's another show for sure. But I mean, I just got to say that, me personally, I just had almost some kind of core values dilemma, because I felt like I should play it and I should get through it, but man, it just such a turnoff, such a bore, so tedious, and I couldn't do it. So I think if we were going to have a category for biggest conundrum of the year, that would be mine for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to somebody who's maybe 5 hours into it and is debating whether to go on, I would probably tell them to stop. But if they had invested the 25 hours, I would tell them to go the rest of the way. But you're right. It's a tough game to crack. Very, very divisive. Brad, why don't while you have the mic, share with us your most disappointing game of the year?
Sure, no problem. And this one was actually a really big disappointment for me. I'm actually going to pick Dead Rising 2 as my most disappointing game of the year.
Damn you.
Oh, did
That
you
was actually the second on my list, so that's not controversial at all.
Damn
great minds, obviously. I was a pretty big fan of the first Dead Rising. It had its problems, but I mean, I loved it, and I played through it. I mean, I even did like a strategy guide for it and stuff. I mean, I spent a lot of time with the game, and I really thought that there was just like endless opportunities to take that same game and make it better. And instead, what we got was virtually a carbon copy of the first Dead Rising. I mean, there were certainly some tweaks. It was easier, which was great. The survivors were now actually able to be rescued, which I thought was great. I mean, there were a few other tweaks to it, but in general, it was almost note for note the exact same game. I mean,
it's the exact same.
Yeah, exactly. The way the locations were, the things that you did, the enemies you met,
some of the missions,
the missions, the end game. It literally was a redo of Dead Rising 1, with a different character and just a few things that were tweaked. I mean, it was almost a carbon copy. And I really wanted to see more. I really wanted to see more risks taken, and the item combination was just not anywhere nearly enough to make that experience fresh for me again. So that was a huge disappointment for me.
Yeah,
I just want to jump in quickly with Brad on this one, that it was a huge disappointment for the same reasons. And what pained me about it was what an easy fix it is. Well, for me anyway, because I didn't have as high expectations as he did for this one. But seriously, who wants to spend 20 minutes building a weapon and have it break after 20 seconds?
Exactly.
If you took that game and you turned off weapon degradation and just let people use whatever weapon they want to kill thousands of zombies, I think it would double that game's playability.
Totally.
Oh.
Yeah.
It would be such a big shift. It would make it so fun. Like, it would actually give those weapons reasons to exist,
Yeah, it's like I played through the whole game just using guns because there's no point to building anything.
Here were my problems with it. I found the first game incredibly disappointing because the survivor AI was so terrible, and it was just frustrating to try to get anyone anywhere in that fucking game. And the save system was like, the save system in a game should not be designed to punish a gamer. And I always felt like the save system in Dead Rising was designed because the developers actually hated everyone who played their game. So I was really skeptical when Dead Rising 2 was announced. I was like, this should be a slam dunk for me being a horror guy. It's like fucking playing Dawn of the Dead, basically. You're in a mall with zombies. That's perfect. But I was like, but they fucked up the first one, and I'm not convinced they're going to fix this one. And then they gave me Case Zero.
Yeah.
And I played Case Zero.
Yeah.
And Case Zero is so fucking right. Like, pretty much everything except the weapons breaking is right in Case Zero. The survivors are easy to control. It's a nice location. It's not in a mall. You've got enough time to do everything, and you've got enough time to branch off and just slaughter zombies if you want to. So I'm like all on board for Dead Rising 2. And then I get it a week ago or a week and a half ago, and I play it, and it's just like, it's the same fucking game. And what happened to everything that was in Case Zero that was so great? Why am I back to doing this shit again? And the problem is, and we hinted at this on an earlier show, is that the Japanese design open world games differently than Westerners. Westerners make games like GTA where the story is important, but it's not like important. You can take a break from the story and fucking go off and do whatever, and maybe never come back to the story, or come back to it if you want. The Japanese, and particularly Capcom, seem obsessed with this idea of making you do things on their time schedule. And that's great if you have a narrative that's worthy of being linear and directing me through it because you don't want me to step off and do my own thing. But in a game where there are 7,000 zombies on screen at once, why am I running around them like they're pylons, like I'm O.J. Simpson on a dash to the end zone? Why am I not using these weapons to slaughter fucking 50,000 zombies on my way to where I want to go? Why is my enemy an inanimate object, a clock? not these slavering undead monsters that want to eat me. And that's why this series disappoints the hell out of me. If I want to race the clock, I'll go get some fucking racing game or something. If I want to kill zombies, I want to play Dead Rising, where I get to actually fucking kill zombies. So,
And I gotta just one more. I can't believe I'm weighing in this much on this game, but I want to back up Mike here on this one because also goddamn inexcusable the lack of a free-form zombie killing mode.
yeah,
The first game's infinite mode. Just put me in the mall full of zombies. Get rid of the story. The first game had it. Why did they take it out of the second game?
Yeah, all I want to
Completely
do is
inexcusable.
fucking kill zombies. I don't want to fucking race a clock to get everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the story when I'm ready, but don't make me fucking run through it. And the story's shit, so there's no reason to make me run through this stupid fucking story anyway. And the last fucking boss is so goddamn cheap that it's unreal.
It doesn't even make sense either. And you know, just to add one more, you know, piece of fuel to the fire. Exactly what you said, Mike. I wasn't hyped for it until I played Case Zero. I loved Case Zero, and so that turned me around and got me hyped for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, I buy very, very, very few games on release day for full price. I mean, it's just like, it's really expensive. $60 is a lot of money to me. And a game has to like have me just so incredibly jazzed for me to even consider buying it for full price. And this was one that I bought for fucking full price. Like,
Me
I was
too.
totally thinking that the stuff we saw in Case Zero was going to carry forward. And I'm like, well, I'm going to reward Capcom for this because they really have shown me what I wanted to see. So I'm going to line up and pay for this, even though in the back of my mind I thought, well, I should probably wait. And I didn't. And man, just one more reason why it was my most disappointing game of the year.
I mean, the worst thing is this is a game that's easily fixed, and they've had 2 cracks at it, and they fucked it up both times. So I'm not convinced that they'll ever fix it. I wish they'd give it to someone who actually had a clue what they were doing and would do it right.
Sad
'Cause
part
it could
is
be
I'm totally
fantastic.
going to buy. The sad part is I'm totally going to buy Case West in 9
Yeah,
days.
me too.
I will too, actually.
Oh, you suckers, suckers.
ridiculous.
Sweet, right? Yeah, totally. The funny thing is, it'll probably be better. Probably better than Dead Rising 2.
Yeah. Mike, is it safe to say that's your most disappointing officially of the year?
Yes.
So I think that leaves Richard, your most disappointing game of the year.
This should come as absolutely no surprise, but Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Enough said. Enough said. Unless there's something you wanted to add.
When I heard that, and this is just what I had written in my notes, so I feel obligated to say it now.
Of
but when I heard they were making a return to 2D, I had hope for the franchise for the first time in a very long time. Like Dan said, there was the Sonic Adventure games, which sucked. There was Sonic Heroes, which was just ugh. There was that stupid one where he turns into a werewolf or a werehog or whatever. I don't even remember what it was called. It was so awful. But when I heard that they were going to go back to 2D, I'm like, okay, they're finally starting to get it. They're going to start just, churning out these short little 2D games that are, updates of the first game, which, it's nothing groundbreaking, but it'd be good. It'd be Sonic again. Sonic would be himself. They can't. When I discovered that they couldn't even do 2D anymore, and not only could they not do 2D, but the levels and the enemy types in Sonic 4 are straight ripoffs, not just inspired by, not just derivative of ripoffs. They are exactly the same as stuff in Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. Every level, every enemy, every boss, or at least the first phase of every boss, is from Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. And so they just straight up lifted the stuff from the games that were good in the past, put it in this one, and it still wasn't good. That convinces me that it's done. And they actually, and to top it all off, the just crap icing on the cake, they made a Sonic soundtrack that is boring. How did no, I'm done. Sorry.
I only played the demo. It is indistinguishable to me from the very first Sonic the Hedgehog. But I do have a question since you played the whole game. Does this Sonic 4 feature animals fornicating?
No, it does not. Or if it did, it's some crazy weird unlockable that I didn't find.
Because I understand the later Sonic games, that's like a big plot point.
It must have been past the... ones where I played because I don't
All right.
remember it, or maybe I do remember it and I'm just blocking it out of my mind. But
I'll Google it later. That's fine.
okay. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
My pick in this category, most disappointing game of the year, and I alluded to it last week. 2010 was just a chain of disappointments for me, kicking the year off with Mass Effect 2, in large part Red Dead Redemption, StarCraft 2. Just last week I railed on World of Warcraft Cataclysm. Just AAA title after AAA title not meeting my expectations and ultimately depressing the living daylights out of me to the point where I considered quitting gaming and actually did for a few weeks. But nothing was more hurtful, genuinely hurtful, than Civilization 5. Not just because of the broken AI or the half-finished game systems. The game was disappointing mostly because after all these years, I have played so much Civilization that I'm not sure Firaxis could release any iteration of this game that could recapture the magic for me. And that just made me sad more than anything else. Civ 5 is a bad game. I would say it's in the bottom tier of Civilization games. But after the magnificent peak of Civilization 4 and my own tedium with the franchise, I just feel bad that this isn't going to be part of my life anymore. But I am done with Civilization, and it's dead and buried to me. I would love for Sid Meier to move on to something new. I hope he does soon. So, with that, let's do one more category, and then we will take a break. This category, number 6,
Release the Kraken!
Best argument for games as art. I'm just going to jump in here and say Limbo. Done. Mike, your turn.
Limbo. Done. No, the gameplay in it may be a little more than platforming and puzzle solving with a little bit of collecting thrown in to make it interesting. But the visual design of this game is just so breathtaking that you're sure to find yourself just stopping to drink in the visuals and the ambiance and the atmosphere. We know gaming is about more than just graphics and the visuals, and Limbo is more than just a pretty game, but the black and white design of it is so captivating that this game surely has to push forward the notion that games can be art.
Dan Weissenberger.
Deadly Premonition. I don't think I need to explain more. I did that for an hour already.
Yeah,
he's got
like
11
billion
entries.
words on it. Yeah.
If memory serves, we have a whole show about Deadly Premonition.
And why it's art and why it's the best video game story you're ever going to play. So just go listen to that if you want to know why it's games as art.
Brad Gallaway, your vote.
I went with Limbo. It's kind of a no-brainer for everything you guys said previously. I mean, it's visually powerful. It's subtle. It's elegant. You know, it's the perfect argument for games as art. So Limbo.
And Richard.
Limbo is certainly a worthy choice. I have no problem with that at all. But the one I went with was Super Mario Galaxy 2. And the reason for that is something Tim said a few shows ago, and I'm going to gleefully rip it off now. Every level is like a present. And like what Mike was saying about just stopping to drink in the aesthetic of Limbo, I found myself doing that a lot in Mario Galaxy 2, and really in Mario Galaxy 1 as well, just with the way the planets are built and just how you move around them, and just the absolute precision with which the first game has been tweaked to the point where it's so streamlined now. It's just amazing, and it's turned something that could have really just been another sequel scrumming for cash, which, I mean, granted it was, but it made it, that level of care made it into a classic in its own right, I think. And with both of the Super Mario Galaxy games, I don't see how you could play either one and say that games aren't art.
Yeah, craft is the word I always use.
Yes, thank you.
It's yeah, you'll hear more about Galaxy 2 as this show goes on. So that's a great choice, Richard, and I certainly right up there with Limbo for me. By the way, for those who didn't hear our big Limbo discussion, I think one of the best discussions we had on this podcast, episode 38, all of us had played Limbo. We talked about the entire game. Go back and listen to that. It's a really, really good show, if I do say so myself. So we are just shy of halfway through the awards. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we have something called the Two Human Award for Inexplicable Excellence. Stay with us. More of our Holiday Spectacular right after this. Welcome back from the break. I hope you're well rested and injected full of nog. We're going to get right to our next award. It's category number 7.
If you want to become wealthy, come to my seminar.
This is the Two Human Award for Inexplicable Excellence. This is an award given to a game that is not good. You know it's not good. Intellectually, it cannot be good, and yet you crave it. Like the dad from Alf craves crack cocaine.
Oh, Willie.
So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Your nominee.
All right, my nominee is no surprise to anyone who listened to me wax rhapsodic. Is that the right word for it? About it a few weeks ago. I'm going with Alan Wake. Alan is a giant douche nozzle, and this game definitely has issues. But I'll be damned if it wasn't one of the best experiences I had gaming this year.
And we did a couple segments on Alan Wake here on the show, so much to be said about that, and that's a great choice for that. Dan, what about you?
It's kind of a rehash of last year's. My biggest guilty pleasure genre is fantasy open world games. I cannot get enough of the experience of like being on a beach somewhere and looking up at a city that's built out of a cliff and being like, you know what, I can walk there if I want to, without any interruptions. So this year it's Gothic 4 Arcania. Not a good game at all. But
yeah.
It's a terrible game, but it's better than last year's pick, Two Worlds. And provides basically the same experience of, I want to see a castle in the distance and I want to walk there, and these games let me do that. That's all I need.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Arcania is really just a slight, maybe half a rung above Two Worlds.
Oh, I didn't say it was good.
Brad, your choice for this award.
I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction than you guys, in that I think that the game that I'm going to choose actually is kind of good, but I think it was just so bizarre to me that it was good that I had to put it in this category, and that is the game that came up earlier, Dante's Inferno. I was all ready to hate on this game based on the completely stupid advertising campaign that EA did for it. I mean, the very idea of taking that particular book and making it a game just made no sense at all. And it just seemed like fail from the start. I had no idea how this was going to work. And to be honest, when I played the demo at PAX a couple years ago, I was like, wow, could you be a bigger fucking ripoff of God of War than this game is? And yet, when I actually sat down with the finished product and I spent time and I gave it a chance to really unfold as the developers wanted, I really liked it a lot. I really liked it more than I ever expected to. I thought they did a great job with it. I didn't
does-
have any of the problems that a lot of people bitched about, and it just was good. And to be honest, I'm really kind of looking forward to part 2.
It does everything God of War does well, and it does it well too, and it doesn't bother to try to change that formula at all, but it's good at doing what it does. So I really like that game too.
I think that's it. I don't have a selection here. Richard, I don't think you have a selection.
I do not.
So let's move on. It's time for category number 8.
Ding, ding.
The best argument for abandoning discs. What was the finest thing you downloaded all year? Richard, I will turn to you.
Well, my selection is just going to be kind of off topic a little bit. My best argument for abandoning discs is me. I haven't bought. I think I can count on one hand the number of games I bought on disc in like the past 4 years. I just
How did
don't
you get on this show?
I don't know. Sometimes I really
we
wonder.
all bitch about how we don't want downloadable stuff to be the norm, and we got Richard who doesn't buy anything physical anymore. Too funny.
Yeah, it's just I don't like dealing with discs. I like the kind of security that comes with being able to re-download my games at any time if my computer is stolen or if my house catches on fire. So my best argument is me, myself, and I.
I love that answer. And I'm so happy we have you on the show, Richard, because despite what Mike said, your counterpoint to our general disdain for the downloadable universe is, I think, it's valuable. It's valuable to have that perspective. And as the show has progressed over the 2.5 years, I have slowly started to come to your side. Just not quite there yet, but you raised compelling points for it. Mike, what about you?
I'm never going to be there, but I like my physical media. I like my shelves of games. But my best argument for abandoning discs this year was Limbo. And that's all I got.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Brad, what about you?
I have to say that this also was another tough one. I was going to say Epic Dungeon, but we've already picked that one before, earlier in the show. I was going to say Explosionade, coming from Mommy's Best Games, which I really had a great time with and I really enjoyed. But I think that my final choice is going to be kind of the obvious one, and I'm going to go with Super Meat Boy. I really enjoyed that game quite a bit. I thought it was excellently made, and I think that Super Meat Boy, along with Epic Dungeon and Explosionade, is the kind of game that never would have been released without the advent of these downloadable services. So I'm really glad that there was an avenue for these things to arrive.
Good answers and all great games. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, kind of my argument too, because I picked Super Meat Boy, which is just fantastic. It has the exact what I feel a downloadable game should feel like. You can jump in, play it for 2 minutes and leave, or you can put hours into it. It is the perfect pick up and play game, and it is like, this is what I want $10 of game to be. It's the exact value. So, Super Meat Boy.
I forgot about Meat Boy as I was coming up with my pick, and that's a really compelling choice, as is Limbo, as is downloading Richard. But my selection here is the highest downloadable title on my top 10 list, and that's Pinball FX 2.
Oh.
I talked about my love of pinball a few weeks ago on a show. I'm going to give 2 reasons. First, I want to commend Zen Studios, the developer of this game, who allowed us to import all of the original pinball tables from Pinball FX 1 for free. They could easily have charged an import fee, and I probably would have paid it, but they didn't. They said, you know what, you already own these tables. Here are upgraded versions of them with better graphics, better physics, and all the leaderboard support of the sequel. So kudos to Zen for that. Secondly, and apart from just being a great game of pinball, Zen has embraced the social competition, the leaderboards that we've seen in games like Geometry Wars 2. You are constantly being informed that you are X points away from the next highest score. it actually awards you extra points and extra rewards for having more friends on your friends list who play the game. I have about 40 friends, most of them who I know, some who I don't, on my friends list, so that I have plenty of scores to work towards. Dan, I think you're on there somewhere, but oddly for you, you're not very high on the leaderboards. And
I actually had huge internet problems right when I downloaded Pinball FX2, so I haven't actually played it online since I downloaded it.
Because to me, it seems like your kind of game, and I expect that you'll be way higher in the leaderboards at some point.
It might have even made it onto this list had I been able to spend any real time with it.
Yeah.
Because it is fantastic. You're completely right.
It is. It's great, and I love this pinball renaissance that we're in. And I do want to give one more shout-out to our buddy Peter Scarrett, who our friend and colleague. He is, I think, top 20 in the world at this game. Absurdly high scores. I have no idea how he does it. He and I also single-handedly keeping Game Room afloat. So big shout-out to Peter, and congratulations to him.
And if they could just get Elvira scared stiff on that thing, it would be the best pinball game ever.
Yeah.
Is Addams Family on there?
Not yet. That's sort of the holy grail.
Yeah.
That's that and Twilight Zone.
This is all conversation for people who haven't played Elvira Scared Stiff, so trust me.
Well, then let's move on. We've got another fun award, and I think only Brad and I are brave enough to dip our toes into this one. It's the Internet Has No Idea What They're Talking About award, Category 9. As I like to describe it, it's us versus 5 million fanboys. Let's take a stand. Let's tell them why they're wrong. Brad, I'm going to make you go first so you can take all the heat.
Oh, man. I honestly dread this category. And this was tough. In fact, I almost was going to lie and say that I had no pick because I'm envisioning the email I'm going to get after this, and I'm going to hate myself for even speaking during this segment. But I have to say, and I'm going to preface this by saying that there are a lot of my friends and a lot of colleagues in the game review sphere who I totally respect, who are brilliant, who are very intelligent, who are very well read and well spoken, who love this game, and a lot of people just had nothing but positive to say. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, although I guess that I am, but I'm simply saying that I just literally, like the category says, I have no idea what they're talking about. And for me, this year, that game was Bayonetta. I have heard nothing but accolades from a lot of people that I have nothing but love for. And when I played this game, I was like, "Is this even the fucking same game? Like, is there like an alternate version that I got? Did I get the unfinished copy or something?" Because it was just pure ass on a disc. I mean, the decisions in that game were really just off the wall and nonsensical. The combat was good. I mean, I liked the core combat engine. I mean, I will say that was fairly well done. But the story was terrible. The cutscenes were terrible. The structure of the game was terrible. The camera was awful in a lot of the missions. I mean, it just went on and on. It was really repetitive in some sections. I mean, I could not see what people were like holding this game up as something to be praised for. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. I have no idea what people are talking about, and I get that maybe I'm going to be like maybe one of the only people this year who doesn't have infinite love for Bayonetta, but for me, this game was like a complete failure and a misfire. So I apologize in advance. Please don't feel the need to send me any email after the show because I already know. It just, for me, Bayonetta, no, just not happening this year.
You just said that to get traffic to the site, didn't you?
Yes, I'm being I'm being an outlier. I am only saying that to get traffic. It is a preconceived ploy to inflame fanboys across the net. There you go. Whatever.
Did anyone else play it? I didn't play it.
I played the demo, and to be totally honest with you, I mean, just based on that, I can totally see where Brad's perspective is coming from. So there's one.
I have it on my game queue, and I keep moving it down because, honestly, I think it looks retarded. But I will play it at some point. I just look at it, and I'm like, the hair and all that, I'm just like, I don't know. It just looks weird to me.
Well, my selection for this category, far less controversial. And for me, there was no obvious standout choice. Like last year's Bionic Commando, fantastic game, No idea why people just hated on it so much. Just a fantastic experience. Nothing stood out to me like that. But I think the internet made a big mistake this year ignoring Prince of Persia, The Forgotten Sands. And it's a real shame because that is a damn proper Prince of Persia game. Probably the best one since Sands of Time. Why was it ignored? Well, for one, it was tied to that horrible movie. That awful, terrible Jake Gyllenhaal disaster. And also ignored because it was released the same week as Red Dead Redemption. But now that Forgotten Sands is $20, it really deserves a second look. Just a great entry in the series, and I think it's a real shame that just people just kind of forgot about it. So, Brad, you played it, didn't you? Forgotten Sands?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was good. I mean, I didn't. It didn't really bowl me over, but I'm a fan of the proper Prince of Persia games. I didn't really appreciate that kind of one-off they did last time. But this one, it was good. I mean, it wasn't anything mind-blowing, and it certainly didn't feel like it actually belonged as a midquel or whatever they were trying to position it as. But it was fine. I mean, if you ignored all the other Prince of Persia games and if you don't really care about the story, I thought it was very, very enjoyable, very playable, well put together. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, very good game.
And I'm just going to jump in here with the same two words I always jump in with. Deadly Premonition. You want to know why the internet was wrong? We've got an hour telling you.
That we do, sir. That we do. Well, our next category, category 11. Is the Steaming Pile Award. And now we're getting down to it, folks. We're getting down to the big awards. This is quite simply the worst game of the year. And I'm going to take the lead here because I need to get this out. If this was any other year, this award would easily go to Metroid Other M. Which, as the kids would say, is a complete hot mess. An asinine control scheme, a completely broken combat system, and an insulting, borderline sexist narrative. But fortunately for Metroid Other M, it's 2010, which also saw the release of the actual worst game of the year, Final Fantasy XIII. Most critics cite 13's linearity as its chief fault, and that's valid. But it's really a symptom of a larger problem, and that is that Square Enix finally and completely lost touch with reality. They removed from this game, by their own admission, anything that was too expensive to produce, so towns, shops, NPCs, and also a laundry list of items that American gamers have cited as annoying, such as having to heal after battle. But what Square didn't do is replace any of those missing elements with new ones, with innovations of any kind. They basically gutted the JRPG and released that. So the result, hollow doesn't begin to do it justice, but let's call it a hollow experience. An endless chain of identical combat encounters tied together by a story incomprehensible even by Final Fantasy standards.
Which is really saying something.
Wholly unlikable, humorless characters, and when I arrived at the final boss completely underleveled and realized that I would need to grind for 10 more hours, I threw the game out against the wall in absolute disgust. Final Fantasy XIII is not just the worst game of the year, it is the worst of all the numbered Final Fantasies, keeping in mind I haven't played 14 and will not play 14. And 13 is arguably the worst AAA title of this generation. It is my greatest hope that this franchise, once my favorite franchise, dies here, today, and now. To Final Fantasy, I say good night and good riddance. Show's over.
I just want to quickly mention here, I haven't actually played a Final Fantasy game since Final Fantasy VII, because I finished 7 and I'm like, I'm not going to have a better experience than this. So I just never went back.
Oh, man. See, I think 7 is so fucking overrated.
You should try 9.
9 is good.
9 is good.
Okay. All right.
Don't bother
I
with
will
8.
look into it now that I just know to not keep going after that. Don't play that one. Don't play online. Don't play the one that's just Star Wars. Gotcha.
So I don't know if any of you can match that, but you're welcome to give it a shot. Brad, what do you got?
Well, I don't think anything any of us have is going to top what you just said. But for me, far and away, the worst game I played, and keep in mind I actually didn't play Final Fantasy 13, is Naughty Bear. I hate Naughty Bear. And in fact, Naughty Bear was a game I felt like I was going to love. I mean, it's a serial killer bear in the woods killing candy-colored other bears. I mean, what's not to like about that? It's kind of a golden premise, but the camera was so bad. Like, I literally felt like I was going to vomit on my floor. I had to actually turn the 360 off to prevent myself from losing my lunch. The levels are just like really, really small and tiny. There's like no craftsmanship involved. The camera sucks. It's like a score-based grind fest, which to me makes no sense when there are like at least 6 other genres this game could have been successful in. And they like staggeringly kept releasing DLC for it long after the entire internet like had written it off. I mean, it just was complete failure from the get-go. I have no idea why they even bothered to release the game, honestly. I mean, I really, really, really can't imagine some executive somewhere playing this for 5 minutes and saying, yes, we're going to go with this year, because it just makes no sense to me. So for me, the steaming pile, biggest steaming pile, Naughty Bear.
Good effort there, Brad. Good effort. I'm sure it was pretty bad. Dan, what about you?
Well, I played Naughty Bear, and it wasn't my worst game of the year. So that tells you how bad my game is. It's a game I just reviewed for the site. It's currently still on the front page, and that game is Blood Drive. And I've got a review out, so I don't have to get into too much of it, but suffice to say, it's a game about driving over zombies in a car in which the zombies frequently forget to appear. And I don't think I need to say any more. Like, when you've that fundamentally missed out on the premise of your game, no, you're the worst thing of the year.
Seems to defeat the purpose of having a car and zombies.
Oh, yes, and of course, the tournament mode asks you to play every game mode on every map in a row without stopping.
Oh, God.
2 solid hours of looking for zombies to run over.
Ugh. Well, that does sound bad.
It is bad.
That does sound bad. Richard.
I did play Final Fantasy 13 this year. I only got 5 hours into it before I finally gave up. But it was not the worst game of the year for me. That distinction goes to Hydrophobia. And Hydrophobia is a game about really cool powers with water, like being able to pick up chunks of, or globs, or whatever the correct physical term is, just pieces of water and move them around and create waves and do this kind of cool stuff, in which that power is not actually in the game. Like, at all. Like, the only way you actually, like, you basically play this really terrible version of Uncharted. And once you finish that, if you can finish that, I still don't know how the hell I did it, but at the end of that, you unlock this this sandbox room in which you finally get that power. And it completely blows my mind that this game was released with the single best thing about it, the only thing that would have made it even remotely redeemable, hidden in the back room behind a bunch of boxes and wrapped in a layer of raccoon shit. It is the most mind-boggling design decision I have ever seen. So Hydrophobia is the worst game. I would challenge you to find a worse game than Hydrophobia.
Well, Mike Bracken, can you do it?
I would like to go with Final Fantasy 13, but I didn't play enough of it. I still fully intend to get a copy and play through as much as I can stand, but honestly, I don't have any hope for it really being good. The little bit I played was not super exciting, and it's just really funny to me that like Square Enix says, "Oh well, we didn't want to spend the money on putting towns in, so that's why we didn't do it." I mean, if you're Square Enix and this is like your fucking flagship franchise, and you're like admitting you didn't want to spend the money on it, is this industry really in more trouble than we realize? That's just scary. My choice is not a real surprise. Based on how I've talked through the show, I went with Castlevania. I didn't play a lot of bad games this year. Somehow I managed to avoid. Usually in the standard year of reviewing, I get an Aquaman or something like that. This year I was pretty lucky. Castlevania Lords of Shadow, though, I'm absolutely flummoxed. I saw like Game Informer gave this game a 9, and I just don't fucking understand where the logic comes from. It has a horrible camera. The gameplay is a boring combat system with just mashing whip attacks and everything with this like two magic modes, one that heals you as you deal damage and one that deals extra damage. The enemies are all repetitive. It's just the same couple enemies over and over and over. It's full of ideas stolen from games like God of War and Shadow of Colossus and like a dozen other great games, and they just kind of just threw them into this game in the most soulless way possible and had put no thought into why these, like the Colossus fights. In Shadow of Colossus, you're like climbing up these monsters, and it's like really awe-inspiring as you climb them up. And basically all Castlevania thought about it was well, it'll be awesome if you can climb these really big things. They have no grasp of why Shadow of the Colossus works the way it does. They just took this because they thought it looked cool. It's just an absolutely soulless game. And then fucking Patrick Stewart and Robert Carlyle with the most overwrought voice acting ever. Every chapter starts with Patrick Stewart reading this fucking gigantic dialogue about the game, and he's telling you how Gabriel, Robert Carlyle's character, is so besieged by evil and overcome by rage. Never once in the fucking actual game do you see him do anything that indicates he's besieged by evil or overcome by rage. It's just Patrick Stewart fucking telling me over and over again. After 3 chapters, I just started skipping it. It's a steaming pile, and it's my steaming pile of the year.
Well spoken, sir. And I think it's great that we're all in agreement Final Fantasy 13 is the worst game of the year.
I wouldn't argue. I think there's something to that. So,
man, we played a lot of bad games this year, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we're down to 3 awards left. This next one will be very quick, I think, as I believe only Richard and I have nominees. We call it in category 12.
How about a sandwich?
There's nothing wrong with a little self-love. It's an award in which we describe our favorite moment from this year's GameCritics.com podcast shows. And Richard, I think you have one, unless I'm mistaken?
Yes, I do.
Please, do share.
Okay, well, this has to do with Brad. So, Brad, in the virtual studio we are now in, I am now staring in your general direction.
And quite a stare it is.
It is.
Sultry.
Brad is someone that I respect. He's a very good writer, and he is a large part a reason why I am currently writing for Game Critics. On the last podcast, at near the end of the show, he started talking about he was going to play 2 PC games that I really, really love, and those games are Amnesia, The Dark Descent, and Aquaria. And I have been singing Aquaria's praises for pretty much the whole time I've been at Game Critics, and then my Amnesia love is really well documented. And the fact that I convinced someone whose opinion on games I do care about to play these games on a platform that he has an irrational hatred for, based on my recommendation, that made me happy enough that I actually got up and bonked my head on the shelf of the closet that I was trapped in. So that was my favorite moment, in that someone that I respect actually took my recommendations, and that meant something to me.
Well, I don't even know what to say, man. I'm glad that I had enough of effect on you that you felt like you were finally able to come out of the closet and be yourself.
And be who you are.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that I could help you have that breakthrough in your life. But seriously though, I that really is a really nice thing to say, and I'm really glad that we have so much self-love on the show that we can, love each other like that and in the open and not be ashamed. So,
And not in the closet.
and not in the closet.
That closet really was not very comfortable, so I'm not going back in there.
That might have been the best moment of the year. You in the closet.
That wasn't really
pretty good.
That wasn't a moment, really. That was just like the whole show.
The whole show.
Well, my pick for this came as a result of a suggestion she had, which was our Gamer Exchange program, in which I made everyone volunteered to play 2 Human. And I finally, after 2 years of doing this show, got to have a 45-minute period where we got to talk about that game. And even though not everyone loved it as much as I did, it was so great, much as you said, Richard, to hear everyone talk about a game that meant so much to me. And so that made me feel good, and I think it was one of our most entertaining shows. It was also fun for Chi, I think, to get that same treatment with Dynasty Warriors. So that, to me, was my favorite show. I also want to put out a special bit of recognition to both Dan and Richard, who were part of both our Heavy Rain special show and our Deadly Premonition special show. And I think I want to do more shows like that in the future, and I think those turned out really well, in no small part to your contributions. So I commend and provide kudos to both of you.
Merci.
And to you as well. And just think, eventually you'll get to do the same thing with Team Fortress.
That's true. That's true. Now, what happens if I cancel my WoW account in the next week before we have a chance to play?
I will be able to play within the next week. I'm actually I found my discs, and I'm actually installing it as we speak.
Because I'm getting very close to canceling my WoW account. So.
Okay, don't do it yet.
Wow.
For me, don't do it yet.
All right, for you and your mustache.
And my mustache.
Let's move on. And folks listening have been waiting nearly 2 hours for this moment. It's category 13.
See you tomorrow on the $100,000 pyramid. For now, Dick Clark. So long.
The biggest gaming-related surprise of the year. Now, this is the listener choice for biggest gaming-related surprise of the year. And we asked our listeners to post their picks on the GameCritics.com forums, and we received a ton of responses, and unfortunately more responses than we could possibly read on this show. But what we're going to do is randomly select 2 of you. We'll read your response, and you will win a $20 credit towards the downloadable service of your choice. As I said at the top, that's going to be XBLA, PSN, Steam, or WiiWare, your choice. So I think I'll go ahead and, I guess, just randomly draw the name now.
A ton of WiiWare.
I no doubt.
Everybody's going to want WiiWare.
Downloading Urban Champion. Probably 4 copies of Urban Champion.
Yep.
So that they can gift them to their friends. So what I have here is a random number generator. I am going to generate random numbers. Richard, you should love this. And we will draw the first number. Here we go. All right, there it is. And the first winner is... Bum, bum, bum. Can anyone do a drum roll? Anyone?
I can't.
No.
All right. The first winner is Frog of Death.
Oh, yay! Frog! Yay! We love Frog.
Frog's surprise, and I love this. Love this. He says his surprise is, quote, the fact that Picross 3D was released in the United States. Has to be one of the best all-around games I've played in a long time. Picross is actually number 2 on my top 10 list for 2010, so I'm right with Frog of Death. He also goes on to say, he was pleasantly surprised with how GoldenEye Wii turned out. Far from perfect, but definitely better than what I was expecting. So really appreciate that, Frog of Death, and we will reach out to you via private message on the forums to arrange the delivery of your prize. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet. You still have a chance to win. I am going to draw another number. I feel like one of those lotto girls, right before Wheel of Fortune, they come out and... Oh, this is so exciting.
Maybe you should have been Dorothy Lamour.
Hello! All right. Random number generator is firing up. Normally Felipe would do this, but again, he's in prison. Number has been generated, and the winner goes to the user named... Hold on.
The drama is killing me.
I know. Brace yourself. The winner is Brood Wars.
Okay, sure. Hey, Brood Wars, right? Okay.
Now, Brood Wars wrote about 4 paragraphs, and
Wow.
I'm not going to read all of those, but let me summarize his statement. He says, "Probably my biggest industry surprise of the year was Nintendo's stubborn drive to push inane limitations on games that did not need them. For instance, forcing retro studios to map probably the game's most vital gameplay features in Donkey Kong Country Returns to motion control waggle, a move that clearly made the game worse in an experience dependent on precision and timing." He also goes on to say that Nintendo allowed Sakamoto to make Metroid Other M completely unchecked. Bad decision there. And he says, when it comes to games, probably my biggest surprise of the year was the racing game Split Second. I normally hate racing games, and I have long-standing irritation for what Nintendo has done with the Mario Kart series. Despite this, I checked out the demo for Split Second and was so blown away. I walked into a store the next day and bought it. So
I like that he's as down on Nintendo as we usually are.
He's going to fit right in, no question. So we congratulate you, Brood Wars and Frog of Death. Again, we'll reach out via private message on our forums to arrange delivery. Let me do a quick shout out to everyone who submitted a suggestion, including Random Rob, Odo Yodo, Ahai, Crackajack, Fidgety Acolyte, Coils 3, Reason 49, Hargrata, JP Grant, Ether Angel, Pedro, and Max Storm. All of you submitted great choices for Surprise of the Year. I wish we had time to read them all, but my thanks to each of you. And to my co-hosts, did any of you have a major surprise that you wanted to share before we move on?
I did, Tim. I was really excited this year by news that Atlas, one of our favorite developer publishers, is working on a PSP version of Persona 2 Innocent Sin.
Yes, my
I will
God,
say,
yes.
please, for the love of Christ, bring this to America now so I can die happy. That was my best gaming-related surprise of the year.
I'm with you, man. 100%, all the way.
That's a good one. My biggest surprise, and I've been dying for the opportunity to pay for store-exclusive fatalities in Mortal Kombat. I've been dying for that.
I think we all have.
Finally, I can pay for that
For
spine
moves
rip.
that should have been there to begin with.
Thank goodness. Well, guys, we are almost out of time. We've got 5 minutes left. We need to get to the big category, the major one of the night, Category 14.
It's over, Prime.
The 2010 Game of the Year. And I think it's only right to start with our guest, Dan Weissenberger. Frankly, well, you know what? Before we go to you, Dan, let me give Chi's vote by proxy. He couldn't be with us tonight. Chi is voting for Dragon Quest IX. So that is 1 point for Dragon Quest IX. Now I'll turn to you, Dan. Your choice.
Well, I've written a 14-part series so far about how Deadly Premonition is the game of the year. So it's not really going to be a surprise that I'm going to go with Deadly Premonition.
It would be kind of weird if you didn't, though.
Yeah, honestly, it would be creepy if I just, jumped out. You know what? I'm just going to say, oh, God, it would be better if I could think Tron Evolution is my game of the year. No, it's Deadly Premonition. and there's no excuse for saying anything else. Now go say other things.
I will move on to Richard Nyack.
Well, I'm sorry to say that I'm going to be announcing my Game of the Year pick on my hour-long ESPN special called Game of the Year. I will announce the choice within the first 5 minutes, and the rest will just be that Cleveland tourism song playing over and over and over again.
Will Michael Wilbon be hosting, though?
Yes, he will.
I was hoping
it would
Tim
not be an hour-long ESPN special without Michael Wilbon. But no, my Game of the Year is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Really, I mean, we did a whole segment on one of the other shows about it, so I'm not going to pick it apart. But 2010 was a really strong year for me, and this was a difficult choice for me to make. Up until Amnesia, this pick was Super Mario Galaxy 2, but Amnesia it just elicited such a strong emotional reaction for me. It was just done so well in every way imaginable. I can't not give this Game of the Year. Congrats, Frictional Games. You made a masterpiece.
Very good choice. Not much of a surprise there, but an excellent choice. So we've got Dragon Quest IX, we've got Deadly Prem, we've got Amnesia. Mike Bracken, your choice.
It should be obvious. Castlevania, Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I was waiting for it.
No, it was a tough call this year because I really loved the PSP version of Persona 3, but I went with the PSP version of the original Persona last year, and if Persona 2 Innocent Sin comes out here, I could totally see myself going with that next year, and that's even a little too fanboy for me. So the other problem is like I played a lot of games this year, but I didn't get to play everything, like every possible contender, so I always feel bad picking because there are a couple things like that certainly would have been in the running, I think, that I just didn't get a chance to play. But with that being said, surprisingly enough, I went with Limbo. In a world of Halos and Call of Duties and Mass Effect sequels and all these big AAA $60 games, I chose a $15 downloadable title. Mainly because Limbo is gorgeous, it's fun, it's challenging, and being like less than 4 hours long, it never wears out its welcome. You play it, you have your time with it, it's fun and engaging, and then it's done. So many games now want to go on for 60 hours when they could be over in 10, and it's like, that's part of why I can't play everything every year, because I like to finish things. And so many games are padded now. It's really great to see a game come along that's as well designed and beautifully made as this one, that also just realizes will give you a great experience where every moment of it is important, and then when it's done, it's done. We're not going to pad it or anything like that. So it's great. And even though it's so short, you're going to think about it and talk about this game for months after you finish it. So Playdead Studios really has shown how good downloadable games can be, and that you don't need these huge development budgets and crazy CGI cinema scenes and all this shit to make a great game. I think that's worth championing, and that's why Limbo is my Game of the Year.
Another great choice. I'm going to go next. Brad, I'm going to leave you for last. If you remember my incoherent gushing, and really when is my gushing not incoherent, over this game back in June, it should come as no surprise that my Game of the Year is Super Mario Galaxy 2. Episode 38 is where you will get all the details. For now, all I'll say is this. When Nintendo wants to, and unfortunately it's all too rare these days, they can still design the cleverest, most creative, and frankly, the best games in the business. Not 5 minutes would go by playing Galaxy 2 that I didn't find myself saying, good Lord, I can't believe somebody actually thought of that. And that's really the highest praise I can give Galaxy 2. I just adored it, and it is my pick for Game of the Year. And that leaves us with Brad. And Brad, I suspect I know where you're going, and that's why I left you for last. Your pick.
Well, this was a pretty difficult year, but not really for the reason that people think. For me, a lot of the front runners were also fairly flawed. I did not have a standout, runaway, no questions front runner pick, and I struggled for a long time. And in fact, I was really, really, really close to actually picking Limbo, like Mike did, but I ended up not picking Limbo, and I went with Deadly Premonition. So I am with Dan 100% on all of the articles he's written. I totally agree with every single word he says. And Deadly Premonition, I think, might be a little bit of a contentious pick because it does have some fairly significant problems. But I think it's a really bold title. I think it's really fresh in a lot of ways. It's really, really just infinitely interesting. And the writing was just so spectacular for me. The writing was strong. Francis York Morgan, the main character, is a character I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, guaranteed. The ending completely made up for any problems I may have had earlier in the game. And I mean, it's broken in a lot of ways. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's unpleasant sometimes. But when you really get right down to it, that game was just brilliant, just runaway brilliant. And I couldn't not pick it. So even though Limbo came really close, Deadly Premonition is my game of the year.
Which, unless I've done my math wrong, also makes it Game Critics Game of the Year.
That's right. That is right.
Okay, you guys are lucky I didn't go with Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Then we would be deliberating all night long.
All night long. It'd be like the 2000 election all over again.
That's right. Well, there you have it, folks. Deadly Premonition, Dan, as you titled all your articles, is the game of the year for the GameCritics.com podcast. It joins Fallout 3, Demon's Souls, and in my private alternate universe, Plants vs. Zombies, as the only games to hold that title. So, guys, you really brought it tonight. I know we are out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank each of you for coming on tonight and having such great thoughts, great games, great conversation. And I also want to thank our listeners. This is our last show of the year. We will be back in 2011 with more shows, and I hope you'll join us then. In the interim, I wish all of you a joyous holiday season, a spectacular and safe new year, and we'll see you, like I said, right back here in 2011 for more of the GameCritics.com podcast. Until then, for all my co-hosts, good night, bon chance, and joyeux Noël.
The bells are ringing the song they're singing, the sound is bringing the people around. They hear the instructions, they follow directions, they travel great distances to the sound. The bells are ringing the song they're singing, the bells are ringing the song they're singing, the sound is bringing. They hear the instructions, they follow directions, they travel great distances to the sound. They are persuaded by the music of the bells. They're not responsible for anything they do. The people know the way to go. The bells are ringing, they hear the sound. 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 The bells are ringing and everyone's walking with thumbs extended in a trance. Forgetting their washing and letting their children, they're dropping on businesses at hand. Our voices telling them to act a different way. They tilt their heads so they won't miss what it will say. And when it's so, there's this to know. The bells are ringing, they hear the sound. The bells are ringing the song they're singing, the sound is bringing the people around. They hear the instructions, they follow direction, they travel great distances to the sound. They are persuaded by the music of the bells. They're not responsible for anything they do. The people know the way to go. The bells are ringing, they hear the sound. A girl with cotton in her ears is shielded from the bells' effect. As if by hidden signal, the people turn to face her.